What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Life After Lockup Season 5, Episode 15, Smells Like Bad Decisions. This episode was extremely boring. It was a real snooze fest. It was hard to get through it. The hour and a half felt like 3 hours, and it's 3 hours of just absolutely nothing. So let's get started with Michael and Justine. So Michael and Justine, they leave their kids at the hotel because they're going to go have dinner with their mom because they plan on telling their mothers that they're going to be moving to Las Vegas. Now, we didn't even get that far because we all got caught up in the gift that Michael's mom gave to Justine. So they get to the restaurant, and after the small talk, Michael's mother says, "Oh, I have a present for you." And she pulls out this bag with all the wrappings and stuff, the tissue paper, the pink and blue tissue paper inside. And so Justine gets really excited, and she doesn't even pull it out. She's just like looking in the bag, and then she sees what it is, and she pushes the bag across the table towards Michael. So then Michael looks in the bag, and he pulls out what it is, and it is a DNA testing kit. So Michael's mom is still on it. She don't give a damn. She is still on it. She doesn't care what y'all got to say about her. She doesn't care what y'all think that she thinks about Justine. She's going to get this DNA on this baby. So Michael and Justine's mom obviously are all extremely offended by this gift. Justine's mom says something like, "So you're trying to say that my daughter sleeps around?" And in her confessional, Justine's mom says, her son is the one that has all these kids. And he even had 2 women pregnant at the same time. But then she questions what my daughter was doing. And she questions, my daughter's how my daughter's moving around. When my daughter was sitting at home for 3 years waiting for Michael to be released, she wasn't seeing anybody. She wasn't messing with anybody. She was being faithful to a man in prison, but she's going to question my daughter and, whether or not the baby is her son's. So Michael says that the reason why his mother is like this is because her brother had a baby, and coming to find out years later, the baby was not his. And so, that's very traumatic for a family, especially when everyone has become attached to the child, as I'm assuming, Michael's mother was. And so this is the reason why she's acting, the way she's acting. But I don't understand, okay, well, maybe I do understand. It happened to your brother. It doesn't mean that, this is going to happen to your son, or this is how, or Justine is like your brother, whoever the woman was that your brother was messing with. So I don't know. Michael makes it look like his mother was very traumatized by finding out that this niece or nephew really wasn't her niece or nephew. And so now she is doubting and questioning everybody that's pregnant. And I guess, in a way, it's like maybe the mom is like, don't take it personal. I'm not accusing or assuming that Justine sleeps around or that Justine was unfaithful to my son. I just want to be sure because, I want to do for my son what my brother didn't do for himself. And it could have saved everybody a lot of heartache. So Michael tells his mom, "This is embarrassing. We're in this restaurant and you have this, a DNA kit. There's a DNA kit on the table and we're at this restaurant." Well, Michael, you put the DNA kit on the table. You took it out of the bag and you're the one that put it on the table. Like, what are you talking about? So, the mother says that one way or another, she's going to test this child. So I guess, she's put Justine on notice, and I know that Justine will never, ever, ever let this child out of her sight so that his mom could sneak away with the baby and go do a secret DNA test. Moving on to Red and Joy Nami. So finally, they have arrived in New Mexico at Joy's house. As soon as, the little boy comes home with Joy's sister, he comes running up to Red. He runs into his arms. He calls him daddy. And I'm like, what just happened? Joy, you're seriously not going to have this little boy call this man daddy when he just got out of prison. Y'all just basically started the real side of your relationship, because whatever the hell was going on in prison was not real. You know, he was stuck in a box. He had nothing else to do but talk to you and a whole bunch of other women. He wasn't going nowhere. So whatever was going on in prison, I don't care if it's 7 years, 17 years, or 77 years. That is not a real relationship until he comes out and y'all have to deal with each other in the here and now, in the reality, and the everyday, and then the day to day that goes on with real life. So I don't count what y'all's 7-year relationship in prison. I don't think that justifies this little boy calling this man daddy. You should not have told this child that this is your dad. When he comes out, you're going to call him daddy because this is your... I think that she really wants this child to believe that this is his father. I don't think this boy, and he's too young to even comprehend, but I don't think that she has any intentions of telling this child that his father could possibly be anybody else other than Red. But anyways, I digress. So he runs to Red. He gives him a really big hug. He's calling him daddy. Joy tells her son that daddy is here for good. Joy, shut up. Shut the hell up. You're setting this little boy up for like the biggest heartbreak in his life by making him call him daddy, promising him that he's going to be around forever, and you don't even know if you're going to see this man the next day. He barely stayed in the hotel with you before he ran off with his so-called BFF and slept with her. And you're going to sit up here and promise your son that this man's going to stick around. This is your daddy and he's here for good. Joy, stop. You're like exhibiting some very, very poor decision making. I'm very, very worried about you, Joy. Extremely. I'm more worried about you now than I ever was before, because now you're pulling your little boy into this mess. So her sister, who's the one that brought the little boy home, her sister, you know, she was sitting there and she was looking very, very pensive. She was looking very, very uncomfortable. She wasn't looking extremely happy about seeing Red there. The sister was very stiff. And Red says something about he understands he's going to have to try to win over her family. If you can stick around long enough, yes. So Joy tells her sister, when Red and the little boy go outside and play, she tells her sister that Red had proposed to her the day before. And her sister was like, really? And then Joy goes in to explain the details, how everybody clapped at the restaurant or bar, wherever the hell they were at, when he bought that $30 ring, and how it was like a movie, you know, the way that everybody just started cheering for them. And her sister was like, really? And then her sister tells her, I think you may be moving a little bit too fast, because you, like I said, he just came out. Y'all don't really know each other in the real world, and your relationship starts now. Your real relationship starts now, and he's already proposing to you, and you already got this little boy calling him daddy, getting attached to him because Red was, you know, playing with him with his toys and really like trying to show the boy a good time, which you should do. You know, you can't like, you know, try to distance yourself from a child. Yes, you should go down in the trenches and play with him and start bonding with him. But I don't think that, first of all, Joy should never even brought this man home. She never should have brought this man to her house. He should have stayed in Missouri. She should have stayed in New Mexico. They should have done the long distance thing until they figured out exactly where they were going with their relationship. Or if he was going to move to New Mexico, he should have had his own place. He should have tried to figure it out, make a way to get your own place, and not get so attached with this child until the two adults could figure out where this relationship was going. But that just sounds too much like right. So the next time that we see them, Red is let me see. Oh, so Red stays home with the little boy while Joy goes to work. And I understand that this particular day, the cameras were there and whatnot. But if this is really what they were doing in real life, where he stays home with this child while she goes to work, Joy, you're a dummy. You're a dum-dum. You're an absolute dum-dum. Joy, look, I'm not trying to say that you need to get your child taken away from me because of your poor decision-making skills, but your sisters, your family need to step the hell in, and they need to do an intervention, because the way you're moving and the way you're carrying yourself as a mother, it's questionable, because you cannot let a man that you had just like reunited with after he did 7 years in prison stay home with your little boy all day while you go to work. Now, I don't know if they did this for the show or if this is what was really going on in real life. I don't know, but it was a bad look either way. You cannot have a man that you really don't know stay with your kid while you are at work. Whoever was watching the little boy before Red showed up in New Mexico, that's who should have still been watching him after Red showed up in New Mexico. It's just crazy. And then these are the stories that you hear about on the news about the boyfriend, who did whatever to the child. And I'm not saying that Red is that type, but I'm just saying Joy doesn't know him enough to figure out whether he's that type or not. So while he's playing hide and seek with the little boy, he's on the phone with his sister, and he tells his sister that Joy is still exhibiting signs of jealousy and insecurity, because every single time his phone rings, she wants to know who it is. She wants to look at his phone. She wants to know where his phone is, etc., etc. So the sister, and I know what the sister was doing when she said this. She was tempting this man to come back home, because the sister tells him, well, all your old honeys, they've been hitting me up looking for you because they all know that you're out of prison now. So all the girlies over here, they're like, where's Red? Where's Red? And so, of course, this piques his interest, right? This definitely piques his interest. And then his sister's like, you need to come home and spend time with your family. So that's the out that he's going to try to use on Joy, because he said he's going to tell Joy that he wants to go and visit his family. You just got to New Mexico. Like, what are you talking about? You want to go back home and visit your family? I don't know what the filming schedule is, and I don't know how long in real life he was actually in New Mexico at that time, but I know it wasn't long enough for him to start missing his family when he could not wait to leave his family to come to New Mexico. But all of a sudden now he's feeling homesick, and he wants to go home and visit his family after his sister tells him that the honeys over there in Missouri have been looking for him. So I can't wait until he tells Joy that. I think that's what I heard. I think that's what he said, that he wanted to go home and spend time with his family, but he was afraid of how Joy was going to react. I can't wait to see that. Moving on to Cameron and Aris. So Aris is out there looking for a house because they got evicted from her old place because the apartment management or the management people had no idea that Cameron was a felon. And once they found out that he was a felon, they got evicted. So now they have to find a new place to live. Last week, they were looking at some RVs, which really wasn't like realistically where they were going to live. It was just, Cameron wanting an RV because he thinks he's going to be touring the nation to promote his music. So Aris is looking for a real house. She's out there with her friend, and she says that she does data entry. Cameron does customer service, but they're looking at $400,000 homes. Now, where I live, if you're doing customer service and data entry, you're not buying a $400,000 home. So maybe things are different in Florida. I don't know what's going on in Florida, but someone who does customer service, and not even full time because this man is barely at work, and someone who does data entry are looking at almost $500,000 homes in Florida. So I don't know what's going on there, but that sounds a little bit steep to me. So while Aris is out there looking for a house, Cameron is with Lena, and they're at a plant nursery. And they're having a conversation about the baby that's coming and talking about the changes that are going to be happening to their family. And Cameron is trying to reassure her that, with all of these changes going on, I want you to understand that we're here for you, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, you don't have to worry about having a roof over your head. You're not going to have to worry about having food in your belly or clothes on your back. And he asked her, he was like, you never had to worry about that before, right? And she was like, yeah, I did. And Cameron was like, when, where, and how? And the little girl says, when we were looking at RVs, she was stressed out. When they were looking at the damn RVs, Lena was stressed out thinking, I know that my mama's boyfriend is not going to have us living in a house on wheels. So that stressed out the little girl. So after that, we see Cameron, and he is at a strip bar because he's about to shoot a music video for one of his singles. While he's doing that, Aris is still out there house hunting. Aris is mad that Cameron is not with her because he's busy with this whole music career and video shoots and etc. She's upset that they're not looking at houses together and that he's wasting money on these music videos. And especially, it's kind of tough right now because while he's spending money on music videos to promote stuff that may or may not even take off, they're going to need money for a down payment and a deposit, etc., closing fees, all of that if they do find a home. She says they're going to need at least $12,000 just for the closing cost. And then also you're going to have to put in, whatever fees go along with that. So she's really hot right now because she's pregnant. She is extremely pregnant. She's about 8 months pregnant, and she's out there driving, looking at houses while he's, shooting videos, wasting money. So she does a pop-up at the strip club where he's shooting this video. So her and her homegirl, they show up at the strip club, and it was so funny. They show up at the damn strip club, and after, she's there because he's on the stage with the stripper who's, bouncing her booty up and down, and he's up there throwing money, making it rain. And Aris walks in with her friend, and they're standing there by the stage. So during a cut or a pause in the shooting, he's talking to his director and he's asking a question, and I don't think he knew that Aris was even there. And so then Aris responded, or Aris said something to him. He was like, oh shoot, because he didn't even realize Aris was there. So they go to the back to talk, and she basically gets on him about wasting money on these music videos when they need to be spending money on the house. And he says, we are spending money on the house. So the conversation goes completely left. They start screaming at each other. He's frustrated because he thinks that he can chase his dream and still hold it down as a family man. And Aris wants him to make a decision of what you're going to make a priority. It can't be both. You're not going to have it both ways. You're either going to be a family man and put the money all into the family and into this house, or you're going to be a single man and worry about your music career. So she says to him, well, you're going to have to figure something out. Or she says to him, you're going to stop talking to me like that, or I'm out of here. And he's like, well, that's exactly what I want you to do. I want you to get out of my face. And so she walks away and he stays there, and I don't know where this is going, but I kind of woke up at that part. That part was kind of interesting to me. So yeah, they're having some serious problems, but I mean, I don't know, girl. This man has a dream. He's had this dream to be a rap artist for the longest, and he had to put his dream on pause while he was in prison. And I'm pretty sure that while he was in prison, Cameron was thinking to himself, as soon as I get out, I'm going to be right back in the studio. I'm going to be right back making my music. This is his sole focus, is to go back to his rap career. So, girl, this is going to be a very tough road ahead for you, and you're about to have this damn baby. Moving on to Blaine and Lindsay. Lindsay is shooting hoops with Molly Grace. They're at some school gymnasium and they're shooting hoops. And Lindsay brings up the subject of adoption. So she tells her daughter that she's planning on adopting Blaine's son, his 8-year-old little boy, because he's had such a tough life. He's been bouncing all over the place. And now that he's finally has a steady home with Lindsay and Blaine, she wants to adopt him. But she tells Molly Grace, I don't think his mother is going to give me permission to do that. Probably not. The mom is probably going to tell you to take those adoption papers and shove them where the sun don't shine. So then she brings up the possibility of Blaine adopting Molly Grace. And so she asks her daughter, how do you feel? How would you feel if me and Blaine got married and Blaine adopted you? And Molly Grace was like, I think I'll pass. Not interested. That's a hard no. And so Lindsay was like, oh, why? I thought you liked Blaine. And no, she says, oh, I thought you wanted a father figure. That's what she said. I thought you really wanted a father figure. And Molly Grace says, I did, but that was a long time ago. So she adapted. She learned to adapt without a father and a mother, because her grandmother was her everything. So she says, now I don't feel that way anymore. And I'm thinking to myself, Lindsay, this girl just moved in with you, and now you're asking her if she wants your boyfriend to adopt her. You don't even know if you're getting married to Blaine, because every time you and Blaine have a fight, you're running away. So you're getting in your car or his truck or on a bicycle or on a trolley, and you're out of there in the dark. So now you're asking this child, how does she feel about being adopted? And I thought the whole thing of adoption was like, once the bonus parent and the child have developed like a really strong bond, and the child really sees the bonus parent as their own parent, that's when you can talk about, the possibility of an adoption. This girl just moved in, and her and Blaine have not been spending that kind of time together. They haven't developed that relationship or that bond like that for you to be bringing up adoption. Like, Lindsay, what are you talking about? So yeah, Molly Grace wasn't interested in that at all whatsoever. Blaine, on the other hand, he's talking to his father, and he's telling his father that he's thinking about marrying Lindsay, but he doesn't know if the time is right because, Lindsay is always running away when they have problems, and also because of the fact that she's got these pending state criminal charges. So they don't know what's going to happen with that. So Lindsay and Blaine go see Blaine's attorney, the attorney that they want us to believe that this attorney was like working magic, because he got Blaine's sentence or his punishment brought all the way down to just a house arrest when he could have been spending like decades in prison. So they're going to go see that attorney again to deal with Lindsay's state charges. And so they must have this guy on a retainer. They're making this guy rich because their constant run-ins with the law is keeping this man extremely paid. So Lindsay is facing 3 counts. 2 of them are drug charges. 1 is a gun charge, and she's facing a maximum of 40 years for all the charges combined. But she would have to do at least 10. So the lawyer says, if you want me to work a miracle for you, I'm going to need $20K ASAP. So now Lindsay's stressed out about how is she going to pay this lawyer, because these charges are like, I guess, real deal Holyfield to her, and she's really worried about it. So she needs to figure out a way to come up with $20,000. So she meets up with one of her friends, this lady by the name of Six. So they're riding around, and Lindsay's telling Six, I'm going to need $20K to pay my lawyer to stay out of prison. And so her friend was like, you've done so much for other people when they came out of prison, they need to return the favor for you. So Lindsay talks about how all these people owe her money, and she's going to go around and she's going to try to collect. My whole thing is, if you're trying to live the straight and narrow path, Lindsay, you're trying to stay out of trouble, what leverage are you going to use to make sure that these people pay you? Because you can't sue them if they don't, because, you can't enforce, these, I don't even know if they were whatever transactions they were. I'm pretty sure you can't enforce them in a court of law. You don't want to spend more money on a lawyer to take them to court. So how are you going to enforce that they pay you? Because you can't beat them up or threaten them with any kind of physical violence or death. So what is the incentive for them to pay you? Why wouldn't they just tell you to blow off? Like, girl, get out of here. If you're living this straight, and I just don't understand how you're going to force people to pay you back if they don't want to pay you back. And you're trying to do the right thing and not get in trouble with the law. So evidently this girl Six she has all the contacts and all the connections of the people that owe her money. And she's going to go around trying to find these people and see if if she can collect on their debt. Lindsay, you've been on this show for forever and a day. You should have been taking full advantage of being on this show and started your own business, whether it was selling t-shirts or mugs or whatever, or even doing an OnlyFans. I don't know. You should have been taking an advantage of being on this show, and you should have had something on the side that was going to be generating some income, multiple sources of income, because you're on a very successful show and, you're easy to look at. You should have been taking advantage of all of this instead of now here you are scrambling, trying to collect $20,000 from a whole bunch of, addicts and criminals. And there's no incentive for them to even pay you because you can't threaten them with any kind of violence. Moving on to Chance and Taylor. So Taylor calls Chance. This is after Bobo has driven by looking for Chance. So she goes back inside the house and she calls Chance. No, she's outside and she calls Chance and she's like, some guy came up here looking for you and he said to tell you TikTok. And so Chance tells Taylor, oh, don't worry about it. I don't know who that is. They probably were looking for somebody else. They have the wrong house. They have the wrong guy. So don't worry about it. But I want you to go inside the house just to be on the safe side. Okay. Fine. Later on, they're in their bedroom and Taylor is asking him about that guy again. Like, who was that crazy guy looking for you? So Chance begins to tell her the story and the history of him and Bobo and blah, blah, blah. And so then Taylor goes, so you lied. You told me at first you didn't even know who he was, but you do know who he is. And I keep telling you, I don't want you to lie to me. How much do you owe him? Well, Chance refuses to tell her the dollar amount of whatever he owes Bobo. So she's like, I want to know how much he owes you. I want to know exactly what's going on. And Chance tells her, I'm not telling you a damn thing if we're not married. And then Taylor says, well, I'm not going to marry you if I don't know everything about you. So they kind of get into it. He's like, you're not my mom. Don't tell me what to do, blah, blah, blah. You're so, blah, blah. It's the same stuff all the time with Chance and Taylor. It's the same stuff. I don't even know why they even hang on to each other. I don't get it. Chance is never going to change. He's always going to be chasing fast money, and he's always going to be keeping secrets from her. That's for sure. That will never ever change. And so now, Taylor, you need to make a decision. Is this how you're going to live your life, or are you going to do something different? Because this situation will never ever change. Y'all will forever be arguing about the same thing because Chance is not going to change. He likes this. This is a thrill for him because he can't drink and he can't do drugs, I'm assuming. This whole thing of sneaking around, trying to make fast money, meeting people in dark alleys, trying to do all of this stuff to try to get fast money. He will forever be, that's how he gets his high. That's how he gets his rush. And keeping secrets from you is just a cherry on top for him. So girl, just do you. Moving on to Key-Rock and Brittany. So Key-Rock goes to a job interview for HVAC and plumbing. During the job interview, they want to see his ID, and he gets kind of nervous and apprehensive because the ID has his old identity before he transitioned. And so it always makes him feel some kind of way, I guess, when that is brought up, because he's going to be forced to talk about it probably. I don't know. And so, but it wasn't an issue. Nobody cared. The people looked at the ID and they're like, okay, great, we're going to hire you. So Key-Rock's got him a job. Now, Key-Rock has been worried about his older brother, Desmond, because Desmond has been AWOL and they don't know where he is. And they think that he might be on a drug binge. And Key-Rock tells us that the whole time that he was in prison, he had no idea that his brother Desmond was having a drug issue because his mother never told him. So he meets up with his mom and they're talking about Desmond and what could have happened to Desmond. He's not talking to his family. They don't know where he is. And they all assume that he's on a drug binge. And so he asks his mom, why didn't you ever tell me when I was locked up that Desmond was struggling with drugs? And his mom says, I didn't want you to worry. I didn't want to put too much on your plate because you're already going through enough. So Key-Rock is like, no, you should have told me. I would have wanted to have known that my brother was struggling. So et cetera, et cetera. So they plan on doing an intervention on Desmond if he ever does show up again. They want to do an intervention on him to help him get clean again. And that's where that scene ended. So we didn't get any Brittany today, excuse me. We just got Key-Rock. So that's it, y'all. That's my review. It lasted way too long. I talked way too much about nothing. But if you made it this far, y'all, I thank you. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. I really do. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later.